So this Michigan town is basically Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. I'm talking about Milford, Michigan. And I know I'm totally dating myself with that reference, but Milford has one of the lowest turnover rates of any city, village, or township in all of Michigan. So this is gonna be the most detailed, in-depth, deep dive into Milford, Michigan there is out there, both the township and the village, both. So before you move here, watch this video and we're gonna deep dive over all of the things that families ask me when they hire me to help them find a home in Milford, including commute times and crime and schools and the difference between the village and the township, of course, and of course, real estate. And then finally, we're gonna go over how Milford compares to nearby areas. We're also gonna highlight new developments, hidden gems, quirky history, and Milford's definitely got some, and insider thoughts that will make you feel like a local in no time. So let's explore what it's really like to live in Milford, Michigan. Also, if you'd be so kind, hit the thumbs up button. It helps more people looking to move find and see the video. And I appreciate all the love, and thank you. Thank you for that. Also, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Metro Detroit, and my contact info is in the description below. Reach out to me anytime if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home or both, and scope out our over 3,000 reviews between Google and Zillow. All right, so first I'm going to do a quick pros and cons list and then jump into the sections that are most important to you because this is a long one. So definitely jump around this video into what you want to see. It's all labeled below. It's a beautiful small town atmosphere. Milford maintains a quaint, historic downtown with a lot of locally owned shops and restaurants and cafes, making it feel really warm and welcoming. The tight-knit community gives residents a strong sense of belonging. Second, excellent outdoor recreation and parks area, including Kensington Metro Park, which is one of the biggest outdoor attractions in the region, featuring lakes and beaches and hiking trails and kayaking. And of course, we've got the Proud Lake recreation area as well. Number 3, Milford schools are highly rated and is part of the Huron Valley School District, known for strong academic performance, a lot of extracurricular activities, and a very high graduation rate. Number 4, family-friendly community. So per the FBI, Milford is a safe suburban feel with low crime rates, making it very cool, a very great place for raising kids and raising a family. And then also there are plenty of kid-friendly activities, including parks and sports leagues and seasonal festivals that happen around. I'm going to deep dive into that one too. Pro number 5, the strong local economy and job opportunities nearby. So Milford itself has a growing small business economy with locally owned shops and restaurants driving commerce and convenience. Proximity to also larger job markets like Ann Arbor, Novi, Metro Detroit make commuting actually viable. It has diverse employment opportunities in automotive, healthcare, education, and technology within a reasonable driving distance. Number 6, the thriving downtown entertainment. So downtown Milford offers a walkable district with boutiques and restaurants and coffee shops and breweries, and there are a lot of community events, and we're going to be talking more about that. And then number 7, it's affordable as compared to some of the nearby Metro Detroit areas. While real estate prices have of course risen like they have all over the nation, Milford remains both affordable and affluent at the same time, and more affordable than suburbs like Birmingham, Novi, or Northville. Now let's talk about some of the cons. Number 1 is it is a higher cost of living compared to some of the more rural areas, and while affordable compared to some suburbs previously mentioned, it is more expensive than other areas like Farmington Hills or Livonia or Westland. So with Milford, you're kind of striking that balance between the super affluent and then the average homes in Metro Detroit. Con number 2, Milford has longer commutes to major cities. Like if you're commuting to downtown Detroit or Ann Arbor, it can be longer than some of the surrounding communities like a Brighton or a South Lyon or a Novi or a Northville. All right, next up con, limited nightlife and entertainment. And by limited, I mean, guys, nightlife in Milford is literally non-existent. You are driving somewhere else. If you're looking for bars or clubs or anything like that, this is not the place for you. And next up is slower, large business growth and development. So Milford maintains a really cool small town feel, but it also means it's slower pace in development as far as major employers go, with fewer newer businesses that are large, like Bosch moving into the area versus a Novi or a Canton, which is not too far away. I did mention this right up at the beginning when I referenced the Eagles, of course, limited housing inventory, AKA there's almost nothing on the market at any point in time. So the demand for homes in Milford far exceeds how many there are and even all building opportunities, meaning that there are fewer homes to pick from, and then often, and when I say often, I mean 80% of the time, you're competing against another buyer for that same home, because Milford is one of those quaint communities people love to be a part of, and once they're there, they typically don't move out of. All right, so in this section, we're going to dig into the downtown a little bit more, talking about lifestyle, before we get to facts and figures like crime rates in schools. As in, like, what are we talking about? What is there to do in and around Milford? Okay, starting downtown and working our way out. If you're looking for Mexican, Sayulita Casina is one of the best spots in all of Metro Detroit. And as a big foodie, you can check out my Instagram. You can see like all my restaurant reviews there. As a big foodie, I can tell you hands down, it is one of my favorite. Also, beware of the margaritas. They're huge. I mean, huge. I did a reel on this place here, which I'm going to link below. So they opened in late 2023, bringing a burst of color and flavor into downtown. It replaced a former restaurant that people loved called Palette, and now stands out with its tiki bar atmosphere, complete with swing seats, artistic murals, and craft margaritas. Another newcomer to the scene, but a place I've already been to a half a dozen times now, is Pettibone. Really cool upscale vibe that Milford was missing. So it's a vibe that is an upscale craft cocktail bar and dining venue. So Pettibone opened in the refurbished historic powerhouse building built by Henry Ford in 1938 and is named in honor of Levi Pettibone, who in 1827 bought the first plot of land in Milford. So this spot has generated a lot of excitement for its mix of history and modern chic. They even have a ribbon cutting happening in March 2025, showing how new this place is. Anna's house, just outside of downtown over here, is 100% my go-to in Milford for all things breakfast. The candy pecan and banana French toast is fantastic. You can tell that I've definitely eaten my fair share of that. And when I'm trying to protein up, the big breakfast is more savory and hits really hard. For coffee, I'll probably mention this place several times throughout this video, Proving Grounds Coffee, named after the GM, the General Motors Proving Grounds, which is located here. Well, here's the coffee place on the map, and here's the Proving Grounds on the map. And you can get the coffee beans that they use there as well, both ground or unground. And we're still in the downtown because the DDA, the Milford Downtown Development Authority, does a lot with the community. So Milford Memories happens early August and is their biggest event, with between 100 and some years as high as 200,000 people pouring into the downtown that weekend. That's like 6 times the normal population of both the city and the village combined. So the locals closer into downtown pretty much run for the hills that weekend. Like they take off to up North Michigan, or they take off to like a family member's house just to get out and away from the traffic. And some of them actually rent their driveways for parking. Go figure. You know, so you can make an extra 20, 40 bucks or whatever it is if you get a house that's close to downtown. But that said, I love Milford Memories. I love the live music, the food, the Civil War reenactments, and all the kids stuff, of course, for kids. And also, since 2009, Milford's had a farmer's market where I will actually pop through for better produce than just at the grocery store, running May to September. In the winter, they do what's called the Big Reveal, and this is really cool. I went last year. All of the businesses downtown wrap their windows in Christmas paper, and then they decorate on the inside of the windows leading up to the Big Reveal. And then when the Milford Christmas tree is lit at 6 p.m., kids tear off the paper to see the decorations underneath. And with Milford's DDA, through the year, there are a total of 23 events downtown that happen. So it's pretty much every other week there is something happening here. I'm gonna link in the description to the DDA's page with all the events happening around town through the entire year. Now on the weekends in the summer, they also have local bands playing at the La Fontaine Family Amphitheater. This is free in Central Park. And in the summer, they play Movies for the Fams weekly as well, which is also free. There's also a summer concert series, a Memorial Day parade that brings out the patriotic spirit, ladies' night out for local shopping, a very vibrant 4th of July parade, and then come fall and winter, they've got events like the Halloween Boo Bash. Oh, and I forgot to mention Karate's on Main. This is a good, solid, well-priced Italian restaurant, and I gotta be honest with you, kids absolutely love this place. All in all, just taking a stroll down Main Street in Milford, you're gonna see what makes Milford special. Downtown Milford is a historic enclave with a traditional Main Street lined by red brick buildings, boutique shops, and cafes, and over 30 restaurants packed into a very walkable area. Many of these are unique businesses, from cozy coffee shops and bakeries to upscale eateries, giving Milford a foodie reputation far exceeding what you'd expect of a village of this size. And seriously, you can eat out every night for a month and not hit the same restaurant twice. So there's everything from sushi to Italian, and of course classic American dinners and pubs. For day-to-day leisure, Milford offers more than your typical suburb. Nature is integrated into the life here, and more on parks in the next section. So it's common for people to spend evenings biking or walking the Milford Trail, a scenic path that connects the village to nearby Kensington Park. You'll see strollers and joggers on the sidewalks, friends meeting up at the local ice cream shop. The village has a great old-fashioned ice cream parlor, by the way. It's a must visit on summer nights. And families enjoying Central Park downtown, which sits right along the Huron River. And Central Park, yes, Milford has one. It's not as big as the New York City Central Park, but it's beloved by locals nonetheless. And it also recently underwent renovations to improve the play structures and Riverwalk, making it more of a gem than it already was. It's a hangout spot for people of all ages, kids on the playground, teens shooting hoops or ice skating in the winter. They set up an ice rink when the weather permits, and adults listening to concert at the amphitheater or picnicking near the river. So parks and recs and nature, this is a whole section in and of itself. So if you love the outdoors, Milford will 100% steal your heart. So this area is packed with parks and natural beauty. In fact, Milford is often highlighted as one of the best spots for outdoor recreation in all of Southeast Michigan. Right on the edge of the village is the crown jewel, which is Kensington Metro Park, which is a massive 4,481 acre park encircling Kent Lake. And technically, Kensington's Metro Park main entrance is actually a couple of miles from Milford, but it's essentially in Milford's backyard. This park offers year-round rec, including a huge lake for swimming, for boating, and fishing. It has an 18-hole golf course, a disc golf course, a nature center, a farm center where kids can actually see farm animals. It has dozens of miles of bike trail. It has 16 miles of horse trails. It has picnic areas and beaches and a splash pad and even winter sports like sledding, cross-country skiing, and ice skating. Now, it's not uncommon for Milford locals to have an annual Metro Park pass. It's $15 for the year, and pop over to Kensington frankly a few times a week like I do. Whether it's for a morning jog on the trails, which you'll find me out there, or a family day out. The scenery is gorgeous with wooded hills and open fields and a large lake, and wildlife is abundant. You will definitely spot sandhill cranes and deer and wild turkey. And it feels like you're up north Michigan, but without the 4-hour drive. So flowing through Milford here is the Huron River, and along there are more parks like the Proud Lake State Recreation Area lies just north of the village, offering yet another 4,700 acres of woodlands and camping, and the Proud Lake itself for kayaking and fishing. Milford's actually situated at a nexus of parklands. So to the west is Island Lake State Recreation Area, Proud Lake, Kensington, and Highland Recreation Area. This means you have at least 4 major parks within a 10 to 15 minute drive, each with their own unique trails and outdoor activities. It's literally a paradise for hikers, mountain bikers. The mountain bike trails in Milford, Kensington, and Island Lake are famous regionally, paddlers, and nature enthusiasts. And in the summer, if you see me in downtown Milford with my bike, stop and say hi. I probably just got off the trail and just rode straight to get something to eat. So within the village and township, there are also several local parks, including Central Park downtown that we had mentioned already. It's right on the river with the playgrounds and the courts and the amphitheater, and is a hub for local events. Southside Park offers more picnic space and connects to the Milford Trail, which is here. And if you follow the Milford Trail out of town, it actually links onto the Kensington Trail loop, creating a network of biking paths. You'll see me on those paths, 100%. There's a recently built skate park and a dog park in Milford as well, thanks to community initiatives. It has great amenities for teens and pet owners, respectively. One cool summer activity is to kayak down the Huron River. You can start at places like Central Park over here or upstream and float through town down to Kensington or Proud Lake. There are canoe and kayak rentals and outfitters nearby. There are actually several of them, and I've used a couple of them in the past. In fact, the Huron River is part of a designated national water trail. Milford has canoe and kayak launches, and it's common to see paddlers gliding by when you're downtown. A super unique recreation spot tied to Milford is Camp Dearborn. It's a 626-acre campground with swimming lakes and cabins. It's owned by the city of Dearborn, but located in Milford. I'm not kidding, it's a real thing. So Camp Dearborn is open to the public for a fee and has beaches and campsites and activities like archery and hay rides. A lot of Metro Detroit families, including myself, have memories of summer camping at Camp Dearborn. As a Milford resident, it's just another fun option which you can go to for a day. You can go to the beach there or rent a campsite. It's a little quirky since the city of Dearborn actually operates it, but it's definitely a part of Milford's recreational landscape. All this means that weekends in Milford and downtown are often filled with a lot of outdoor fun. If you're an outdoor person, this is definitely an outdoor city, which means you can be outdoors for you. And that said, you don't have to be an outdoor expert to enjoy it, so these parks have something for everyone. Easy walking paths for casual strolls, challenging mountain bike trails for the adventurous, playgrounds for kids, and benches by the water for just relaxing with a view. So Milford's natural setting is a huge reason why people move here. It's like having a vacation country escape as your daily environment. The village actively maintains a connection to nature. For instance, there's been a project recently to create a Liberty Street Riverwalk access to connect downtown more directly to the riverfront, making it even easier to enjoy the waterway right from Main Street. In short, Milford strikes a rare balance between civilization and nature. You can be sipping a latte at the proving grounds, and 5 minutes later you can be on a wooded, secluded trail. And of course, I gotta do a section on golf. So in Milford proper, there's only one public golf course, which is Mystic Creek, which is a pretty good 18-hole, but there are nonetheless a ton of good courses in the area, including the Cattails Golf Club, which is over here, Moose Ridge Golf Club, which I just golfed at not too long ago, over here, and Tanglewood Golf Course over here. Within striking distance are some of my favorite courses, including Northville Hills, which is here. It's an Arnold Palmer designed course that's pretty unforgiving, just want to put that out there. Coyote in New Hudson, which was ranked by the Free Press as the 10th best course in Metro Detroit. Lion Oaks in Wixom, which the Free Press ranked the 7th best course. And if you're up for a 30-40 minute drive, the #1 ranked course in all of Metro Detroit, which is the U of M golf course, is over here. And check out its proximity to the big house. So during football season, this is also my favorite place to park. If I'm gonna go to a U of M game, I'm gonna park here. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. So next up, what am I gonna do with them dang kids? I gotta keep them entertained. So for the kids, there is a ton of stuff to keep them going outside of what I mentioned so far. So there are a ton of soccer leagues and basketball leagues and football leagues. Over here, about a 15-minute drive, is Urban Air Trampoline Park. I've been there a couple of times. There's a Play and Glow here, and then there's a Sky Zone over here. Then there's 242, which is over here in Brighton. And then part of being in Milford is the location. It's minutes from other downtowns like Brighton and South Lyon, 20 minutes from Paradise Park over in Novi, which has go-karts, putt-putt, and an arcade. It's actually a pretty cool place. And of course, you've got the lakes in Commerce, right? You've got a ton of all sports lakes. Find a friend, make a friend that lives there, and go use their boat. That's what I did. That's literally what I did. I have a friend that lives on the lake, and I just use his boat. Okay, next up, we're gonna talk about the differences between the township and the village. So this is a city that's really two cities in one, okay? So let's bring up the two maps. So there's Milford Township, and then here's Milford Village. The township is on the left and the village is on the right. If you're house hunting, you might see addresses that say Milford, Michigan, but some are going to be inside the village limits and some of them are going to be in the surrounding township. So what's the difference? Let's break that down. So the village of Milford, this is the heart of Milford. It's about 6,500 total residents living in a 2.5 square mile area that includes the historic downtown and of course the adjacent neighborhoods. If you live in the village, you have village government, which is a council and a manager for local services in addition to the township and the county. The village provides services like its own police department, city water, sewer, garbage pickup, and so on, but only for village residents. The charm factor is high, and many village homes are walkable to Main Street, and the neighborhoods have that very classic feel, like that broad front porch feel. Some entire streets are even on the National Register of Historic Places for their Victorian era homes and layout. Now that said, because they're on the National Register, it also limits what you can do with those homes. If you're planning on buying one of these homes and doing an addition or an expansion, or even just painting it a different color, you definitely want to stop by City Hall first and double check with the zoning and building department, because chances are a lot of those renovations, a lot of those style changes that you want to do, you cannot do. So definitely, if we're house hunting and we're looking at homes in the village and you say, hey Mike, I want to kick out the back and add another bedroom and expand the kitchen, I'm going to say, okay, cool, let's take down the address. Let's go stop by the City Hall real quick and let's run this basic plan by them to see if that's something that would even be approvable. What I don't want to see happen is you buy a home in the village with the intention of making changes or adding a garage to it or doing any number of things and then finding out you can do nothing with it at all. So being in the village also means higher property taxes than in the township because you're paying for that extra layer of service. So village residents pay both the township millages and the village millages, but in return you get the conveniences like water and sewer lines versus well and septic, and close proximity to events and shops. So in the township, you'll have the lower millage rate of 34.2 mils per thousand. What does that mean? That means nothing. Okay, here's what it means. At a $500,000 home, your taxes would be about $8,550 per year. The millage rate for the village is up at 41.79 because of the extra millages, so quite a bit higher. And that same home at $500,000 will be taxed at $10,449. So that same home would be a little north of 20% more in taxes. Just so you're aware, walking in, expect to spend another $100, $150, $200, $250 a month on taxes, depending on what price you're looking at. Basically, take the $500,000, and if you're looking for a home around $750,000, awesome, move both tax brackets up 50%. Or if you're looking for a home closer to $250,000, moving down 50%. So let's talk about Milford Township, which is outside the village borders. So the rest of the 36-mile township is a mix of suburban and neighborhoods, rural land, and parks, totaling 17,000 residents in the whole township, including the village. So roughly 10,000 people live here in the township, but outside the village, and then the other 6,500 live inside the village. The township residents don't have the additional village tax, and many properties are larger and with larger lots. You might find homes on 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more acres. There are even some horse farms or homes on unpaved roads out in the country. The township contracts with the Oakland County Sheriff for police and relies on state police, and utilities can vary. So many areas use well water and septic systems as opposed to city water, city sewer. Though some neighborhoods might tie into the village water system, if you want more land or a slightly more rural vibe, township homes provide that, while keeping the Milford address and access to the same schools and community amenities. So culturally, village versus township isn't really a divisive thing. Everyone just identifies as being from Milford. And the community acts as one, but it's really helpful to know. For example, if you love the idea of walking to a coffee shop or frequently strolling the downtown streets, you'll probably want to gravitate more towards homes in the village or just at its edge. And that said, again, the trade-off's going to be you're going to have older homes, and a smaller yard, much smaller. Now, if you prefer more elbow room, a big backyard, or even a wooded lot where you might see some deer in the backyard and get some privacy, the township has options just a few minutes drive from the downtown. So zoning and development also differ. The village is more built up and focused on maintaining its historic character, whereas the township has newer subdivisions and also actively preserves more open spaces and farmland in parts of it. And you'll see that in the master planning, how much exactly they value their rural character and big open spaces. So another quirky thing, mailing addresses and identity, the village is officially a separate municipality incorporated with its own governance, but residents just use Milford, Michigan in addresses, so like the township folks. So don't let that confuse you. Whether you live in the village or the township, you'll just say, I live in Milford. And when it comes to community events, schools, and recreation, the distinction literally just disappears. Think of it all like two concentric circles. The village in the center is the downtown and nearby homes. The township is the larger circle around it, including more spread out neighborhoods and parklands. Together, they make up the Milford area that locals know, love, and pretty much just never leave. All right, this is the part of the video where we're going to start niching down into some extreme detail. And yes, the word niche was on my mind because I'm going to reference that website. So niche.com has given Milford an A grade overall with high marks for schools and families, but it's way down at the sea level for commute. So let's pull up a map. I'm going to show you why it flops so hard there. So a lot of people that live in Milford or are moving into the area work in one of 4 job areas in Metro Detroit, and it is a drive for sure for 3 of them. So the closest one, and let's pull that up on the map, is here, the GM Proving Grounds. Right? It is literally in Milford. Actually, my favorite coffee shop in town is called the Proving Grounds Coffee, right on Main Street. And depending on where you are in Milford, the commute to the Proving Grounds is 5 to 15 minutes to work. That's it. And then the next closest is going to be Ann Arbor. U of M is there and is the single biggest employer in the city, but there's also Google and Trinity Health. So that's going to be around a 38-minute commute without traffic, 50 with. Next up is Novi, which is here, and there are some bigger engineering firms like Bosch. That's a bit closer of a commute at about 30 minutes with traffic, 20-ish, 25 without. And then downtown Detroit is about a 45-minute commute without traffic and just about an even hour with. So Dearborn's the same. Those 2 cities cover General Motors, Ford, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Rocket Mortgage, all of those major employers that are in the city or in Dearborn. And then Troy is about a 45-minute to an hour for people working there, and those employers include Borg Warner, Magna, Beaumont Health, Meritor, etc. There's a ton of those companies there, and it's an hour drive to the airport. So if you got to get on a plane a couple of times a week or even a couple of times a month, it's not the longest drive. But again, if you're traveling weekly, you got to be mindful of how long it takes and how big that Uber bill is going to be if you're not driving yourself. Okay, let's get the big Metro Detroit map with all of the driving routes on one map. So towns with a similar feel like Milford, like Northville or Plymouth, are going to have literally half the commute times to downtown and to the airport. Dexter is a short commute to Ann Arbor, but a far commute to everywhere else. And then Rochester and Rochester Hills, which is another really cute downtown area, is over here, very close to Troy. Just want to give you guys some options and some ideas if you're moving into the area of other cities you may want to take a look at as well. Also, we've helped hundreds of clients in each one of those areas and know Metro Detroit better than anyone else. I have 85 local experts across all 5 counties on the team. When you're ready to start thinking about your next move, shoot me a call, shoot me a text, scope out some of our reviews. We train our people to be knowledgeable, transparent, and patient. 3 things, as if you bought a home before or sold a home before, the real estate industry is severely lacking. So within Milford, getting around is easy. The village is actually really compact. It's only 2.5 square miles, and you can walk or bike around downtown and to local parks and pretty much everywhere. Many neighborhood streets lead straight into Main Street. If you live in the township areas outside the village, you might be a 5 to 10 minute drive from the downtown amenities. And speaking of driving, the average commute for Milford residents in total is 31 minutes, which is slightly above the national average of 26. All right, so back to niche.com. Suburbs.com, Milford was also ranked B for nightlife. I have no idea who's doing this ranking or what they're thinking. Let me just be clear, there is no nightlife in Milford. It's not Royal Oak, it's not downtown Ann Arbor, it's not downtown Detroit, it's not Ferndale by any stretch. But also it was ranked 68 out of 338 for best Michigan suburbs. Now a lot of people moving to Michigan haven't heard of Milford before, and that's because it's really boring and the news usually reports bad things that happen, not good things that happen, aka crime. So if I'm considering moving to an area that I'm gonna take my family to live in, I definitely want to know more about that. I'm talking crime rates. So per the FBI, Milford has 0.47 crimes per 1,000 residents. Is that good? Okay, so Michigan in general, all cities and towns average about 10 times that number at 4.57 crimes per 1,000 people. And the national median is 4 crimes per 1,000. So again, that's almost 10 times as much. My license doesn't let me comment on my opinion of what that means. I can only provide the data and then let you guys kind of think about it from there. So the chance of being a victim of a violent crime in Milford is 1 in 2,140 versus all of Michigan, which is 1 in 219. According to the website Area Vibes, which also pulls data from the FBI database, Milford is 82% lower than the national average of all cities and towns as far as crime goes. So property crime is also quite a bit lower than the national average, coming in at 12.1 in Milford versus 35.4 nationally. That means incidents like burglary or theft are much less frequent here than in most American towns. So City Data's analysis found Milford's crime index to be many times smaller than the US average, which is reassuring if you're looking for a safe place to raise a family or just have some really nice peace of mind. I mean, to be honest, I've left my door unlocked in Milford for like days on end and nothing's happened. Not saying that you should, not saying that you should, but that's my experience. All right, it's the kind of town where neighbors really do actually look out for each other, and the local police are not only reliable, but they're visible and they're very friendly. I actually get into conversations with these guys all the time. They do a great job. So the Village of Milford has its own police department and they work alongside the Oakland County Sheriff for the surrounding township. The community leadership does emphasize safety, from well-maintained sidewalks to programs like neighborhood watches. And of course, no place is ever going to be completely crime-free or completely safe, and petty incidents can happen anywhere, but Milford's low crime stats are a large part of its appeal for a lot of our clients. Residents often comment that they feel comfortable walking downtown in the evenings or letting their kids ride their bike to the park, which speaks to that small town sense of security. One thing to note, and it's worth noting because you should be doing your own independent research and looking at crime rates and things like that for wherever it is that you want to move, because Milford is so small, some crime rating websites lump it into surrounding areas or use data from Milford Township as a whole. But even looking at those broader stats, the picture's still positive. For example, one analysis gave Milford a C- safety grade relative to some national metrics, meaning about average safety. But local figures and residents' experiences definitely paint a safer picture than that might imply. All right, guys, let's talk school. So another top of mind question that I get on pretty much any city when I'm working with a buyer is, how are the schools? Okay, so Milford is part of the Huron Valley School District, which services Milford, parts of White Lake, Highland Township, and a large chunk of Commerce Township. And it's a pretty far-reaching district covering 99.6 total miles. Niche.com gives Huron Valley a B+ overall with an A- academics, A- in clubs and activities, and an A- in college prep. US News shows a 16-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, which is below the national average, and the revenue per student, so how much money they're bringing into the district per student, at $16,766, which is way above the average. School Digger gives all schools inside Milford a 4 stars or higher ranking. The School Digger also ranks advanced academics above average in all metrics except math, which is on par with the rest of the state numbers. 91% of the teachers have been teaching over 3 years, and the average teacher salary is $7,000 higher per year than the average. I'm not sure if that last bit actually matters, but I think it does. As a business owner, I know to get better people, you gotta pay better for them. In other words, students here on average test above state norms, and the district boasts a 92% graduation rate, which has been rising, not lowering like some of the other districts in Metro Detroit. And then Milford High School, which is the local high school, is actually located just north of the village. It's actually in Highland Township, but services all of Milford, both the township and the village. It's a comprehensive high school known for solid academics, a wide range of AP courses, and strong athletics. Go Mavericks. Milford High is highly regarded by many parents and students. On niche.com, for instance, it has an all-around 3.7 out of 5-star rating. You can scope out some of the parent reviews and student reviews on niche.com. Here, I'll put a link down below. Milford High School has a plethora of diverse extracurricular programs, from marching bands to robotics and drama, and of course all the sports you can imagine. There's also a second high school in the district, which is Lakeland High School, which some, not many, but some Milford Townships attend depending on your address. Lakeland in White Lake is similarly rated and even hosts the International Academy's West Campus, which is an elite public magnet IB international program that academically inclined students in the district can apply to. For younger kids, Muir Middle School is the main middle school serving Milford, and there are several elementary schools in the Huron Valley School District that Milford kids attend, such as Johnson Elementary or Kurtz Elementary. Gradeschools.com's ratings for the elementary schools in the Huron Valley School District range from around average to way above average, so often a 6 to 7, sometimes an 8 range, with reviews noting caring teachers and a community feel. The district also puts an emphasis onto the STEM program, STEM education, and has notable arts and music programs as well. Class sizes are reasonable in the STEM schools at 17 to 1 student to teacher ratio overall. In addition to the public schools, Milford and the surrounding areas have some great private school options as well. For example, St. Mary's Catholic School in Milford offers K-8 parochial education for families that are looking more for a faith-based curriculum. There's also some private preschools and some Montessori programs in the area, and also in some of the nearby cities. And then not too far away, you've got Catholic Central High School over in Novi here. They just built that campus not that long ago, which is amazing. And then you've got Mercy High School, which is over here in Farmington Hills. And then of course, gotta mention it, you've got U of D Jesuit over here, which I think is worth the drive. Maybe it's because I went there. Maybe it's because I love that school. Men for others, that's the motto. Go Cubs. So going back to what families and parents think of Milford schools, overall, some of the quotes that I read about the school are it's the right size, they're big enough to offer variety, small enough that teachers and principals actually know the students on a first-name basis. Being part of a community-focused district also means you're going to see a strong amount of parent involvement too, which is great. I love that. Also, you're going to see the Friday night lights of the high school football games, and that just brings the whole community together. Whether or not people have kids in the schools, they still go to the football games. And school events are a point of pride here. Education is a strong suit for Milford. All right, let's talk shopping, because you got to get groceries and clothing and candles from somewhere. Okay, starting with groceries. You got to get eggs, no matter how much they cost. There's a Kroger right across the street from Anna's house, which is here. And it does have a Kroger gas station if you're all up on the points like I am. But I like the two smaller shops. I like Maddie's Fresh Market, which is over here, and also Picnic Basket Gourmet. If you've known me for any amount of time, you know I prefer to shop local and shop small businesses, downtown areas whenever possible. Downtown Milford has a plethora of cool little shops. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but just a few that I love. So one is For Feet's Sake. They've got great running shoes, great selection, and a super knowledgeable staff. I'll pop through every 6 months or so when I need to rotate out my current 2 pairs of shoes for a new 2 pairs of shoes. And then the Clothing Cove here has a ton of Michigan gear, and I'm talking about the state of Michigan, not U of M, but they also have both U of M gear and, you know, Michigan State gear if you're into that kind of thing. I mean, most people aren't. Most people aren't. Go blue. Anyway, and then this shop here, After the Rain, has some really cool and cute stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. And for more food spots, and there's some really good ones that did not make the other section, Lai Ting Blue Pearl is an upscale Chinese, while Novella's Pizza is excellent. The burger joint, in fact, does have the best burger in town. So as far as malls go, and I get that question a lot, there is one closer to Milford and then one further away. 12 Oaks Mall is the closer one, about 20 to 25 minutes in Novi, with 180 shops, including an Apple Store, Williams-Sonoma, Cheesecake Factory, Sedona Tap House, and then across the way, there's an Imagine Theater and a couple other good food choices right there in Novi. And then further out, which is a drive, in Troy is the Somerset Mall, and that's the good one. It's about a 45-minute drive. Now, 2 things about this mall. One, it is the biggest privately owned mall in the United States. This thing is huge. It's 3 stories, and there are a ton of shops in this place. The second thing, one side is fairly normal, and then the south side is the upscale side and has all the upscale stores you can think of to go with it. Now, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I'm a real estate agent, which means there's no way I can talk about a city without talking about real estate. I mean, I'm a real estate agent, right? So we're gonna go high level and then ground level. First off, the village versus the township. Now, this really truly is a tale of 2 cities, and that pun was 100% intended. You can laugh, it's okay, it's okay. You know, comment below whether you like the puns or no. Okay, anyway, neither are actually cities. One's a township, one's a village. So as far as real estate goes, the Metro Detroit market overall has an average sales price right now of $317,831 as of the time of this taping. That includes everything from Birmingham to Detroit and Pontiac. Now, Milford Village has an average sales price of $402,728 versus the much higher Milford Township at $567,076. Now, here's why. So the homes in the village on average are 50 years older than the homes in the township, with very little new construction happening in the village, 50% smaller, and also on smaller lots. So peep this, when I change the screen to average price per square foot, the numbers trail very, very close together. So right now, the average price per square foot in the village is $244 per square foot versus the township at $242 a square foot. So the average home in the village right now is 1,650 square feet versus the township, the average home size is much larger at 2,343 square feet. Okay, great, but what does it all mean? All right, let's look at some homes. So village first, to stay right at the average, about 400,000, this is what you get. So this one over on Crystal Street sold recently for $399 on the button. It's 1,157 square feet, a little smaller than average, but really well updated. They took the ceiling up here, they added windows and encased the 2 support beams. Really nice job on the kitchen, nice job in the bathroom. Somebody spent some money here getting some updates going. So this one over here on Hickory sold at $385,000 and it's up at 1,592 square feet, a little closer to the average. It was built in 1920 and scope out that porch. The interior is a little bit on the dated side, kitchens, bathrooms, etc. It's serviceable, but I'd probably update it at some point in living there. Finally, this guy on Franklin sold for $430,000, a 1932 built and really has some real charm with the doors and the plaster, not drywall. Nice kitchen. Love the ceiling detail in the family room. Super cute. And just because I love expensive houses, this one on Tracy Lane sold for $939,000. It was built in 2017, has some really nice touches for a new build. It's 2,788 square feet. They definitely valued the upgrades versus the size. They didn't just want to build a big box. Super cool kitchen, and that corner freestanding tub. Oh, love it. As a side note, I'm glad this home has blinds because I would definitely want to use that tub and I would definitely want to have blinds closed during that experience. And then check out the exterior and the back of the home too. Really nicely done. On the other end here, there are some super cute starter homes that are way more reasonably priced. Check out this one on Grand Vista. It sold for $210,000. 2 bedrooms, no basement, but real nice redo in the main spaces. The kitchen's been upgraded and bathroom's been upgraded and it's really close to Sears Lake. So let's jump out of the village and into the township. You're going to see a lot of differences in the homes, both the style and the layouts in them when we start going through some of these. So pretty close to the $567,000 average for the township is this one that sold for $575,000 over on Cattail Trail. In township fashion, where a lot of lots are much larger, this one's on 3 acres. Great kitchen. Good job on the master bedroom, master bathroom redo, the finished walkout basement, and then check out that aerial shot. Now here's one that was way up at $1.9 million over on Tall Timbers. So this one was one of our listings that the seller hired us to sell. We were the 3rd agents on it, and here's also a link to the full 45-minute video of this one here if you want to scope it out. I went real deep into this one. So this home was so nice, from the kitchen to the walkout basement, and of course the backyard is its own private sanctuary. Like this home is way more my style. When I get home, I don't want to deal with people anymore. I just want to be alone in my tranquility. This home oozes tranquility at home. So a few other homes that we recently sold in Milford Township or Village are this one over on Ivy Glen. Nice kitchen on that one. I really like that house. Then there's this one over on Rolling Green Court. So the sellers took a job out of state that they couldn't pass up. This home was actually supposed to be their forever home until the job offer came in. That's why it was so well decorated and maintained, and they put so much into it. So I love this sale, this condo over on Tella Ridge. They decided to sell and move out of state to be closer to the grandkids. These guys built this condo in 2004 and it was a really good location. It did make it more than a few days before we were getting offers. Okay, so if I went through all the sales that we've done over the last 24 years in Milford Township and Village, we would be here for probably another 2 hours. I don't think anybody wants that. So here's a little bit different of a way I'm gonna break down downtown Village homes versus the township homes. So downtown Village, close to Main Street, you're gonna find century-old houses, including Victorian-style homes, charming bungalows from the 1920s and 1950s, and some mid-century modern homes. Many have been lovingly maintained or restored. Think front porches, tree-lined streets, unique architectural details. There's also a few newer infill developments near downtown, like small clusters of townhomes or modern colonials that did a nice job blending with the older homes. In fact, the Village insisted on it. Lot sizes in the Village are typically smaller, maybe 1/4 of an acre or even less. 0.16 or 0.17 is not unusual, but the walkability and the charm way more than make up for it. If you love character and the ability to walk downtown, the Village has it. Plus remember, those homes in the historic district, which is partly why the whole downtown is on the National Historic Registry, are just cute. Suburban living. In Milford Township especially, there are numerous subdivisions built in the 1980s through the 2000s and even some brand new ones that are going in right now. So you can find traditional two-story colonials, ranches, and split levels on suburban lots, often 0.3 to 0.5 acres, some even bigger. Some of those lots are going up to 10 acres. For instance, take a look at Summit Ridge and Milford Heights neighborhood, which were built in the 90s and very popular. I get calls about those two specific neighborhoods, as well as Stone Hollow, which was built in the early 2000s. All of these offer family-friendly environments, sidewalks, community parks or playgrounds, and houses with modern layouts. Think attached garages, 3 to 4 bedrooms. Prices for a typical 4-bedroom colonial here might range from the mid upper 300s all the way into the 600s, depending on the size and the updates. So Milford has seen some really exciting new housing developments recently as well. A big one is the Summit View of Milford, which is a new residential development right near downtown. Planned on a former industrial brownfield site, Summit View is bringing 44 single-family homes and 16 townhomes to the area. These homes are being built with modern construction and really super stylish design, many craftsman style in keeping with the area and the historic registry, with stonework and contemporary interiors. So as of the shooting of this video, some of these homes are already up and being lived in and sold. Not many, but a few of them. So at Summit View, the price ranges are currently between $480,000 and $700,000 range for brand new construction with high-end finishes. So this development was pretty cool. It was actually made possible by environmental cleanup grants and is essentially creating a new neighborhood within walking distance of downtown. For decades, you could not build anything on it because the ground was actually kind of contaminated. So that's a big bonus for people that want both new construction and walkability downtown. Another notable project is the 505 North Main Street building. It was approved in 2021. It's a 3-story mixed-use building at Main and Commerce in downtown, with storefronts on the ground floor, ground level, and the residential units above. This one's going to add a mix of modern condos and apartments right in downtown, along with more retail space, which is desperately needed, and is also a sign of Milford's growing appeal. There have actually been talks and a couple studies going on right now, potentially adding a boutique, classy, high-end hotel on the site of a former manufacturing plant, aka the TRW site, which shows the forward thinking. Though as of now, Milford doesn't have its own hotel. That could change in the future if these plans progress. Country and luxury homes. On the outskirts of the township, you're also going to find properties with some real serious acreage. If you dreamed of that farmhouse, and I'm talking like little farm on the prairie type of farmhouse, or a place for horses. Areas in North and West Milford Township have homes on multiple acre lots. Some of them already have existing barns, or they back up the state land with trails, which is great. There are also some luxury home estates tucked into the woods along the Huron River with price tags around $800,000 plus. And then even just over the line, just outside of Milford and Highland, some of the custom homes there enjoy some lake frontage or really super scenic seclusion, which is just beautiful. Condos and senior living. So Milford has a few condo complexes and more going up. Downtown has a couple loft style condos above stores and a couple of the newer townhouse style condos. Just outside of the downtown, there are condominium developments like Heritage Hills or Crystal Village, which is a 55 up community in Milford Township. These provide options for those who want lower maintenance or a downsizing and might need assistance. Renters are going to find a very limited but a decent selection of apartments or duplexes, often in or near downtown. Rents in Milford for a 2-bedroom apartment range right now between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, depending on the unit, although I've seen some go as high as $2,500 or even $3,000 a month for some of the larger units and some of the homes that people are renting out downtown that they're just not ready to part with. They just don't want to sell it yet. But overall, the real estate trend, real estate values in Milford has been on an upward trajectory. It's been seen as a bit of a discovery by some, even Metro Detroit homebuyers that already live here, but they just aren't that familiar with Milford till they actually get out there and take a look at the downtown. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm falling in love with it. Offering what places like Northville or Plymouth or Ann Arbor have, which is the historic downtown and good schools, but often a slightly better value because they're paying a little bit less per square foot. One comparison is often made, Milford versus South Lyon versus Brighton. So South Lyon to the southwest also has a cute downtown, but is smaller, and its growth has been huge with many new subdivisions in Lyon Township going up literally right now. Like if you drive through Lyon Township, all you're going to see is construction going on. Brighton, a little bit to the west over in Livingston County, has a larger downtown and more commercial development, like big stores and whatnot, but it's also a lot more traffic and higher prices in some cases depending on where in downtown you're looking. Milford tends to be quieter than Brighton's busy, busty retail corridors and more of a self-contained small town than a sprawling South Lyon. Also, Milford's Oakland County location could be a plus for people that work in Oakland County, having a shorter commute time than from Livingston or even Washtenaw County, which South Lyon touches. When comparing home values, a home that might cost $400,000 in Milford could be a bit less in South Lyon, like 10 to 15% less. And Milford's housing cost, or what you're going to pay to just buy a home, is still going to be pretty far below Novi, parts of Commerce Township, Northville, or even downtown Plymouth. So Novi has similar priced homes, but without the small downtown vibe, so you're missing that. How Milford stacks up to nearby areas when choosing a new hometown is natural to compare other options. So Milford holds its own against neighboring communities, often coming out on top depending on what you value. So here's a quick comparison to understand Milford's unique flavor. Milford versus South Lyon. South Lyon is about 15 minutes southwest. Both have historic downtowns, but Milford's downtown is larger and arguably more vibrant in terms of dining. South Lyon has a handful of restaurants and shops. Milford has dozens. South Lyon is growing fast with many new subdivisions, and the population is very similar, around 11,000 in the city, plus a few more in Lyon Township. Housing costs, Milford is going to be slightly higher on average, between 5 and 15% more expensive, depending on what area you're looking in Milford and South Lyon. So then you've got the two different school districts. You've got South Lyon Schools, which covers South Lyon, obviously, and then you've got the larger Huron Valley, which covers Milford. But if you look at Niche or greatschools.org or US News, both of them have solid parental reviews, which is great. Commute-wise, they're also going to be a similar distance to Novi and Detroit. South Lyon may be a little closer to Ann Arbor by a few miles. So overall, I think if you're looking at either Milford or South Lyon, a lot of it's going to come down to the new construction, because South Lyon has so many more options. So if you are looking exclusively for a new home, I would add South Lyon to the list as well as Milford. So Milford versus Brighton, which is right in the next county, it's right in Livingston County. So Brighton's downtown is bigger than Milford and has some great restaurants and some shops too. It also has more big box stores, like you've got a Target and a Costco and things like that. However, Brighton can get super congested. Grand River Avenue through downtown sees a ton of traffic, especially when people are going to the mall, and I'm talking 12 Oaks Mall, or commuting to and from work. Milford's advantage is less congestion and a bit more small town charm, whereas Brighton feels a little bit more like a small or a mid-sized city. Brighton does have the Brighton Mill Pond and a really nice park downtown, and access to Kensington and multiple parks are about equal between both Brighton, South Lyon, and Milford. So recreation options are going to be very, very similar. Brighton does border Island Lake State Park though, which is definitely a plus. For housing, Brighton's median price is similar or slightly higher in some neighborhoods, and it's also a very hot market right now. So schools. So Brighton area schools versus Huron Valley. Again, going to niche.com, greatschools.org, and US News, both are ranked very similarly. And then one consideration is taxes. So living in Oakland County, which is Milford, versus Livingston County, which is Brighton, doesn't differ hugely, but Livingston County does have a slightly lower millage rate than the cities in Oakland County. If you want more shopping and a larger town infrastructure, Brighton provides that. But if you like a quieter, more tucked away community where you still rub elbows with your neighbors, and that still has everything you need, Milford is often the top pick. So Milford versus Novi and Commerce. So Novi is a large suburb, about 60,000 people, is known for its shopping like 12 Oaks Mall and a very diverse, modern suburban feel. Milford is the polar opposite in vibe. Novi has no true downtown core like Milford's. I lived in Novi for years, I can tell you that. It's more of a spread out city with subdivisions and shopping centers. Milford won't give you that big retail. You'll have to drive to Novi or Commerce for a Costco, but you've got character and nature. Commerce Township, which is bordering Milford to the east, is full of lakes and subdivisions within Commerce developing along major roads. But again, no centralized downtown in Commerce. People often choose Milford over these because they want the community feel and walkability. However, jobs in Novi or Commerce are super accessible from Milford. So if you're commuting to either one of those towns, it's really 15 to 30 minutes depending on where you're living. So when I'm sitting down talking with the buyer and we're talking about these cities, any of these cities, the questions I always come up with is, do you like the busier or do you like the quieter? Also, do you like a downtown or do you like more of a rural feel? And I'm talking Commerce in this one, is living on a lake the lifestyle that you want or not? Because Milford doesn't have that one thing and Commerce very much does. Okay, now you've got Milford versus Northville and Plymouth. So these two are a little bit further, about 30 to 35 minutes southeast, but sometimes compared because they're also nice historic downtowns with really nice shops. So Northville and Plymouth are more built out. There are no large lakes and not a lot of large parks like Milford's around them. And their home prices are higher, often significantly, Northville especially. They have more of an urban suburban feel. So Milford is smaller and more again of that up north feel, with the forests and the parks. If someone loves Northville but gets sticker shock at the home prices, Milford could be a super attractive alternative with a similar charm level. In a nutshell, for as quiet as Milford is, and as many people in Southeast Michigan don't even know that much about it because it is that quiet, Milford stands out by combining multiple desirable traits. A true historic downtown, which is rare in the outer suburbs, extensive nature and parks, rare and built-up areas, and a strong sense of community identity. It's not as large as bustling as some of the cities that we had talked about and mentioned, but that's exactly the appeal to a lot of people. As one local phrase goes, Milford offers a unique sense of place that just lures you in. A lot of people from Metro Detroit that make the trek to Milford to scope it out, a lot of times for Milford memories or the big reveal, end up telling me, wow, I didn't realize how great this town was. And the next thing you know, they're looking at listings on Zillow. They're looking at homes on Zillow in Milford. So if you're house hunting in Southeast Michigan, Milford is often compared alongside the best of the best communities. And it frequently comes down to just personal preference. Do you want to be closer to the mall or closer to the Metro Park? Do you prefer a bigger population or knowing your local shop owners by name? Milford firmly caters to those who favor the latter in each of those questions. And that said, nothing is too far. If Milford somehow doesn't have something, a short drive is going to get you to whatever does. But increasingly, Milford has most of what folks need right in town. It truly punches above its weight class, and that's why it stands out. And then looking ahead towards Milford's future, Milford leaders are very thoughtful around growth. So the phrase Milford by design is used at the DDA to indicate that they shape projects to fit the village center. For example, when approving the 505 North Main mixed-use building, design guidelines were used and strenuously enforced to ensure it fits the Main Street look. There's even been a hotel feasibility study done, as previously mentioned, on the site of an old factory, the TRW. And if it does come to pass, it will be a super niche-y, super boutique hotel for visitors right in Milford. And that could be on the horizon if the economics work out, if they could find a nice luxury brand to take that on. And then tech-wise, Milford is actually forward thinking. So they've got some smart city upgrades like improved LED lighting, some of which is solar powered, and then public Wi-Fi in all of downtown, which is pretty cool actually. And then a small thing, but something important to me, is no matter how much time I spend in downtown Milford, I always get great cell reception. And that's just not the case in some of the other cities. Like Western Brighton or a lot of South Lyon, I lose cell service completely. I mean, whether it's AT&T or Verizon, same result, right? Those might seem like some minor things, but for someone moving from a big city, it's good to know you won't be completely cut off the grid out there. You can work from home or stream Netflix just fine. One more development to watch is GM's Proving Grounds, which is just south of the village, is a huge automotive testing facility that has literally been here since the 1920s. While it's not a public site, GM occasionally invests in upgrades there. It employs a lot of engineers and a lot of staff, and it does open to the public every once in a while so they can see the proving ground, see the racetrack, and see some of the cars. A thriving proving ground means jobs and a robust local economy. As the auto industry evolves, EV testing, etc., Milford's name is literally on the map for cutting-edge R&D. So while that's not residential development, it is a cornerstone of Milford's modern identity and future. Plus, every so often you might catch a glimpse of a camouflage test car on the road because they do actually drive them home, which is a good reminder of Milford's automotive heritage. And then next up, we're going to talk about some hidden gems and some quirky facts. So no guide to Milford would be complete without sharing some of the local insider tidbits, those fun historical facts and hidden gems that new residents love to learn and show off when friends visit and family visit. So here's a few to tuck in your back pocket. 10 minutes ahead of the world. Okay, the legendary prank. Milford once pulled off a time-traveling prank, sort of. So back in the early 1900s, the town's noon whistle, blown by the phone operator, who also kept the town clock, suddenly started blowing 10 minutes early each day. So confusion kind of ensued because a lot of locals were keeping time with that whistle. And as it turned out, pranksters had snuck in and set the clock ahead by 10 minutes, tricking the poor Carrie Pryor, who was the operator, into unknowingly making Milford run 10 minutes too fast. For a while, Milford claimed to be 10 minutes ahead of the world. It's a humorous bit of lore that reflects kind of the small town mischief that you get in a small town. And then you got Camp Dearborn, as I mentioned before. So Camp Dearborn is a unique thing. It's a park that is not run by Milford at all, but by the city of Dearborn, which is 40 miles away. It's over here, way over here. So back in the late 40s, Dearborn bought the land in Milford Township to create a recreational retreat for its residents. Today, it's open to all, but Dearborn residents do get a discount. It's kind of amusing that Milford hosts another city's park, but locals enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy it. Summer concerts and events that are sometimes held at Camp Dearborn as well, are just a ton of fun. There's Main Street Art, which is a combo art supply store and gallery that's a creator's paradise. And then Milford is probably the least connected town to anyone famous. The only real notable person is Drew Barrymore, because her mother lived there in the 1980s, so she lived there for a few years herself. Most recently, a couple of Detroit sports figures, a couple Lions actually, and executives have moved into the Milford area, including the CEO of Domino's, drawn by both luxury homes and the acreage. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Milford? Is this a town that would work for you? Is this a town that you're feeling the vibe and you're loving it, you want to visit it, maybe even go out and see a home? Or are you like, nope, This is too quiet for me. I need more noise. I need more people. I need more nightlife. You tell me what you guys think about Milford, pros and cons. And also, what city would you like me to cover next in extreme detail? My name is Mike Perna, again, local real estate agent. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And if you haven't found a home yet and you're about to start looking, please do give me a call. Thank you again. See you on the next video.